Gambling has many similarities with other addictive and with substance use disorders, such as the development of tolerance. The difference is in gambling, the tolerance is to the level of action or the level of relief. Often it's looked at, oh, this person has to spend more and more money to get the same excitement or relief, but it really may be taking increasing amounts of risk and or spending increasing amounts of time. So that's a subtle difference from substance use where it's just tolerance and taking more and more of the substance. There are many ways a person with a gambling disorder might display that kind of tolerance. One of the big differences, even though gambling affects a person's neurobiology in much the same way that substances do in terms of the dopamine system and stress related physical problems such as gastrointestinal problems, heart related problems. Um, but there aren't any biological tests. You can't find it in the blood or in the urine, in saliva, in hair. There's no way to know biologically if a loved one or if a client you're working with is gambling unless they tell you. You can't say, here's a cup, pee in it, and I'll see if the dice come out or, if there's any gambling there. That we can't do it. So there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to knowing what a client is doing, and a lot of trepidation often in terms of being lied to. That affects the dynamic of the relationship, and that's a very significant difference. Another thing that's really critical to understand: if I have an alcohol use disorder, even though I think the alcohol may help me forget about my problems, I don't really believe that drinking more will help me solve my problems. With gambling, there is the possibility, no matter how remote, that I will get that win, and that win could potentially solve at least all of my financial problems, my housing problems, maybe even the thought that if I had the money, it would solve all my relationship problems. I'd be smarter, more attractive. People would like me more. It's so difficult for people, our clients who have a gambling disorder, their family members, their employers, the lay community, to understand that just an activity can have the same neurobiological impact and repercussions that substance use does. I can understand your behavior if you're pouring toxic chemicals into your body, but you're not doing that. So why would you take money from the kids' college fund, stay away for the whole weekend, keep burning up our money so that we can't pay our rent or our mortgage? Why are you doing all these things? If it was substances, I could understand that. But the person with the gambling disorder also thinks, yeah, I could understand how I could do all these things if my brain was messed up by chemicals. But it's just me doing all these horrible things. So the shame and the guilt go so much deeper because I can't attribute it to toxic chemicals, and I can't wrap my head around the biology of it as easily. So it's just me. I can't blame the gambling in quite the same way. And in all these different ways, most individuals, either with the disorder and even treatment professionals, lack an understanding of these aspects of gambling disorder and can easily become much more judgmental of how could somebody steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from their nonprofit organization, from the nursing home, from the older adults under their care. um, from their employer. Um, it must be something about them, so the stigma and the lack of understanding and the lack of awareness in communities is so much greater as a result. So we have our work cut out for us. I think some of the most important things that research has helped us understand about gambling disorder, one, and it's one of the foundations for why the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, DSM-5, switched uh, gambling disorder to the category of substance-related and addictive disorders rather than the kind of garbage can it had been in of impulse control disorders not elsewhere specified, all the diagnoses nobody knew what to do with. The research established that the biology of gambling disorder is very comparable to the biology of substance use disorders. The neurobiology, what happens when somebody gambles, is much the same as what happens when somebody consumes substances that are addictive. So that established it as this is something real. This isn't just bad, immoral, rotten behavior. This is a biologically based disorder that is comparable to those we already understand, substance use disorders, and found the right home in terms of not just diagnosis, but treatment approaches. We know that the same treatment approaches that have often been found to be helpful for substance use are often helpful with gambling disorder, the cognitive behavioral strategies, the other addiction strategies, motivational interviewing. So the research has helped us keep pointed in the most helpful direction. Um, Certainly, more work needs to be done. There's vastly more research in mental health and substance use disorders and gambling disorder. I still have yet to find a piece of research on the impact of addressing finances in the treatment of gambling disorder. All these years, all these 36 years, and we know how important money and finances are, and we tell people you have to treat it. Nobody's really looked at the research. Does having a money protection plan help? So we have a long ways to go, but we have a good starting point in terms of um, motivational strategies, cognitive behavioral strategies, contingency management. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It works with folks with gambling disorders as well as substance use disorders.